エアピン区間までは風間音をぴったりとマークしていた八千代ファクトリー折戸だが600馬力の煙幕パワーの前に本来の走りができず1本目は風間音サービス JZX100 の勝利。
Whoa, slow down there for just a second. I know JZXs are the hot new cars these days, but before you go and make another huge financial mistake like the rest of us have made, let me cover some stuff that the big YouTubers/influencers don't show on their social media pages. I want to give a more average person point of view of owning a car like this, and if you are a complete newbie to this platform of cars, to hopefully guide you or make you realize that there are better choices for building a car out there that fulfill your needs and taste, which will hopefully save you a ton of frustration and disappointment down the road. So today we're going to be talking about things that you should know before buying a JZX90, JZX100, or basically any car being imported into the USA that was not in the domestic market, and how it's like owning one of these things in 2023. I want to give any viewer who is in the market for one a good set of building blocks on how to handle building a car that's already unique as it is, into being able to enjoy it as much as I have enjoyed mine. Because there's a big learning curve from going from a car that was made here in the United States and there being plenty of, compared to a car that never existed here and is still relatively new to the US market, that there's not a lot of data and not a lot of like tribal knowledge around, which will let me plug in one video I have for if you are already a JZX90 owner, kind of like the stuff to do first once you have the car. It's mostly maintenance, but it's more or less stuff like what kind of parts I recommend looking at, where to find them, is it better to get the OEM one, and where to find that OEM one, cross compatibility across different platforms, etc, etc. So first things first, these cars are old and expensive, especially that last part. They are expensive today. This is not the late 2000s, this is not the mid 2000s or pre-COVID. This is 2023, about to be 2024 when I'm recording this. I don't want to hear anything about in the comments that, oh, I brought a JZX for 5 blueberries back in 08. I wouldn't pay a cent over that today. I understand. And I totally understand like the frustration that affordable and disposable drift cars are dying out, but people are out here paying 30 to 35 grand for a JZX100, if not more, because they saw it on TikTok and Instagram and they don't know anything about the legacy, influence on these cars. Some of them don't even have any mechanical knowledge, and those are the types of people that I'm trying to call out in this video. In a sense, I just want everyone here to have a understanding of, you just don't go out and buy a car like this without knowing what you're getting yourself into. That's the whole premise. The first real example I have of this is when I had to do a brake job on my JZX90. The rear rotors were dead, the brake shoes were dead, and the rear pads were dead. It took me about 5 months to receive my rotors and brake shoes from Project Mu in Japan. And then guess how much that whole brake job cost me as well. It cost me $400 in 5 months of waiting. So let me put that into perspective a little bit, and let me compare this to a car that was made here. We're going to use a 350Z as an example because I had one, and you can do an entire brake job on that car for, wait for it, $76. $76 ordering everything off Rock Auto. The exact same job I did on the JZX90 in 2020 would cost me $590 today. That is the exact same job, and that's using resources available here in the US. That is a 6 times price increase on a relatively easy and quick job. But wait, Mateo, I can hear you typing in the comments. But what about finding equivalent rotors, brake shoes, and pads from Toyota cars made here in the US and using those? Surely Toyota would share this stuff across their platforms, right? And to that I would say you're absolutely correct. However, remember that $590 price point I mentioned before? That includes the $40 stateside brake pads available from a 94 Toyota Avalon. Everything else is only for JZX. So this means you have two options. Either modify your brakes with a Super brake swap or an LS400 brake swap, or just you have to wait. You're gonna have to wait however long it takes to get these parts stateside. And then don't forget, this started as a basic maintenance thing. You were just supposed to do maintenance on the brakes. Now this became a whole, do I need to end up doing a swap of some sorts, where you now become the person that needs to do the R&D on it. Which again, this emphasizes the point I'm trying to make clear here for new potential buyers. You just bought this very expensive car and you want to drive it around, but in order to keep driving it, you have to do maintenance on it. And the rabbit hole you have to go down now is changing your brakes to something completely different because it's going to take too long to get the parts, or you didn't expect this huge price to hit you for something so basic such as brakes. If you're okay with that and you're still following along in the video, let's go ahead and continue to number 2. If you're asking, please leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. I got more videos coming up in this style of editing. So let's get started with number 2. Okay, so the second part of this video is going to cover where do you find OEM parts that are compatible, since the JZX may have some uniqueness to it. Hopefully this isn't a surprise now, but you can't just walk into an auto parts store and have them look up a JZX in their system and they tell you what will fit and what will not. Instead, you need to go in there with a part number if you find something cross-compatible. This is where having some mechanical knowledge is going to come in handy, because you'll need to go into the nitty-gritty details in order to find something, which you will need to do with using websites like Amayama, and you use the parts from there to cross-reference into another website called Toyo DIY. This is where a lot of people lose interest in their import platform and decide to sell it because they end up with a super unique version of the car with no way of maintaining it here, such as a turbo diesel LX90. Stepping into the world of imports is quite a big jump from owning anything local, where you need to be able to be creative with your solutions and checking for compatibility between parts that you're using. Again, I'm just trying to make sure people understand the costs and expectations associated with these particular cars. There are also third-party sites available, and there's lots of options for those. We have ranking from more risky to less risky and where they come from. Either all the way from buying from parts from in Japan directly through Yahoo auctions using a third-party site such as Buy.e, or going through KFD, which is located in Russia, or even the Serial 9 guys in Canada. We even have some shops here in the United States who bring in parts. One of them is Toge Factory. There's a sort of up garage here in the US, but they go under the name of Krubor. And then last but not least, you do have individuals on Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes you can find some super rare parts that way, such as interior pieces, window motors, any climate control options. Sometimes you can even find glass from some of the private sellers on there. And then you even have eBay as a nice backup resource where you can buy parts from basically anywhere in the world. If they have it there, you can buy it. These are the sources that I have off the top of my head, but it requires you to do the legwork on researching and navigating your options. It's going to take some time, and it's going to be way more expensive than what you initially thought, which is basically the story of every project car ever. If you made it this far, can you do me a favor and leave a like and subscribe so we can share this video with other people, and the YouTube algorithm can recommend it to people in the little sidebar after they watch a video from a big YouTube channel with a JZX in there. Before we get started on the last point, I just want to re-emphasize, I'm not trying to gatekeep these cars, but I do want to set a base understanding on what to expect from them and what it takes to own one as an average person. This will hopefully reduce the amount of questions on the forums or the Facebook group that we get, such as what rotors and brake pads will fit on this car. I'll see these all the time on there. In addition to that, I just want people to buy these cars and not have them sit there neglected because the new buyers don't know what to do with it, or surprised that it takes 6 to 8 months to get certain parts. These cars should be driven and enjoyed by people who are willing to put in the extra legwork to make it unique to them. Okay, so on to the last part. How can you find information on your specific platform? At the minimum, if you're thinking about buying an import car, you need to join a Facebook group that deals with the car. Unfortunately, the days of forums are dead, and Facebook handles all of this. I'm working on a video discussing the death of forums and why this is a problem for the new generation of auto enthusiasts. So if that sounds like an interesting video, subscribe to my channel for once I release that. When joining the Facebook groups, this means that you need to use the search feature before asking questions. No one there should be answering or even bothering to reply to a message about what coilovers or what max offset wheels you can run on the car. All that information is there, and it's been covered frequently enough to where a search will get you something someone posted within the last 6 months. Owning a car like this means you will be doing a lot of research on your own without knowing if the part replacement you're about to do will even work or go smoothly, or if you have a mechanical electrical problem. So unless you know Japanese, a full service manual isn't readily available either. Facebook group is your number one source of info. Then after that, it's going to be YouTube for some tutorials for more easier stuff that's been documented on maintaining. And then perhaps Googling some more and stumbling across foreign forums where the cars were legal prior, such as Europe and Australia. And finally, it's going to be from other like-minded individuals who share the same passion for the car as you. In conclusion and some closing thoughts, hopefully this video has given some insight on the hoops one needs to jump through when owning a car like this. It should be no surprise by now that the car you're buying, which was never made here in the US, would be a bit more complex in building compared to a USDM car. I hope this provides a more realistic time frame when building a car like this, versus a YouTuber or influencer that has special connections to cut down on these wait times and hurdles. These hurdles in turn may cause new owners to be regretful in their decision, and they may end up with a car that is just deteriorating, which in turn gets sold, with the owner taking a big loss on their quote-unquote investment, or parting out as some may falsely realize it is worth more in parts, or even worse, it just gets scrapped. In addition, this causes an unnecessary spam of basic questions in Facebook groups, a place where discussion and problem-solving issues needs to happen instead, rather than yet another post of what brakes, coilovers, or wheels will fit my car.